Hey guys, my name is Shrikant Deshpande. Through my YouTube channel Zekko Inspection Technology, I upload videos on various QA, QC, and inspection topics. Today, I am excited to be here to discuss an interesting inspection topic called as inspection of spiral wound gasket. In this video, I will cover the following topic on spiral wound gasket inspection. The first one is inspection methodology, reference specification, visual inspection, dimension check, material record verification, surface finish, ring inspection, performance testing, marking and color coding on spiral wound gasket. Here in inspection methodology, I will be briefing only the inspection parameter since I have made a separate video on spiral wound gasket. You can watch this video on my YouTube channel, Zekko Inspection Technology. So guys, let's begin with the topic inspection methodology. In this topic, the inspection parameter are typically focusing on verifying dimensional accuracy, material properties, and overall quality. The inspection of spiral wound gasket is a crucial to ensure the performance and reliability of the spiral wound gasket in high pressure and high temperature applications. So here are reference specification which a QC inspector can use during the inspection of spiral wound gasket. One is ASME B 16.20, that is for the metallic gasket for pipe flanges and specifically for the spiral wound gasket. Then API 601 is there. Then EN specification EN 1514 part 2 is there. Then British standard 3381 and 13555, they are also used in the British country. Then the last specification comes is ASTM F36, that is the standard for test method for compressibility and recovery of gasket material. Now here the first inspection parameter comes the visual inspection of spiral wound gasket. In this visual inspection, QC inspector has to check the defects and uniformity of the gasket. So in defects, there are cracks, deformation, uneven winding or incomplete filler material, uneven lamination, defective solder joints, dents, scratches, damage caused during the handling or storage, damage reinforcing ring, warping or corrosion, and irregular winding. In the second parameter, uniformity, ensure even spacing and alignment of metal and filler layers. So QC inspector has to check the visual defects and uniformity of the spiral wound gasket. Now here in dimension check parameter, QC inspector shall check the outer and inner diameter of the gasket. I have shown the images where ID is symbolized as D1 and OD is symbolized as D4. Based on the ASME B 16.20, a dimension chart is mentioned in table SW-2.1-1, where inside and outside diameters are mentioned. Also, the thickness and width are also given in the specification. So, QC inspector to check the dimension based on these reference charts, and he has to accept the gasket based on the dimension check. Before checking the dimensions of spiral wound gasket, QC inspector to refer ASME B 16.20 for dimension chart tolerances on the spiral wound gasket. He has to check outer diameter, inner diameter, thickness, and based on the dimensions and the results, he has to accept the gasket. I have shown the image where internal diameter is symbolized as D1 and outer diameter is symbolized as D4. So these dimensions based on the flange size, gasket, and pressure class, he has to refer that dimensions and verify with respect to the actual dimensions observed, and then he has to accept the gasket. Now in this slide, in the dimension check parameter, I have specifically provided a general tolerance chart which is used during the production, because production team has to refer some tolerances. These are comparison chart. It is as per the ASME B 16.20, BS 3381 and DIN standard. So this comparison chart can be referred during the inspections to for the ease of inspection. However, QC inspector has to ensure the relevant standard or project specification for the inspection. The parameter is material test record verification. So I will not go into much deep on this topic because I have made a separate video on mill test certificate. So our YouTube friends can refer that watch that video on my channel. So here metal winding material and filler winding material, if they are mentioned in the material test certificate, so QC inspector has to review the material test record properly and ensure that the relevant material required as per PO or project specification is mentioned and available in the mill test certificate. So he has to correlate the details with respect to PO or project specification. Now, here in the material record verification part, I have given one sample material test report issued by a manufacturer. This is issued as per BSEN 10204 type 3.1B certificate. So in this certificate, manufacturer has provided the physical and chemical parameters of the filler and winding material, then description of the gasket, quantity, class, everything is mentioned. Then here we can see the order, certificate number, then batch number is also mentioned, and this heat number, batch number correlation, QC inspector has to ensure that these details are mentioned on the gasket or the packing of the gasket. So he has to correlate and accept the mill test certificate based on the verification of these parameters of physical and chemical properties. In this surface finish requirement, common surface finish requirement for spiral gasket is between 125 to 255 micro inch. This is the typical surface finish requirement. Too smooth surface below 125 micro inch RA might cause the gasket to slip and not properly grip in the flange, leading to probable leakages. Also, too rough surface above 250 micro inch RA value, it might damage the gasket and cause uneven compression and probable leaks. Surface finish can be checked with the surface roughness tester to verify the compliance. Now we will see the ring inspection, inner and outer ring. Here I have specifically mentioned or covered this part in the spiral wound gasket inspection because it plays an important role in the gasket performance. So QC inspector has to do visual inspection, dimension check, material verification record, surface finish check, concentricity check and coating check for this inner and outer ring. So details are mentioned in this complete video, so he can everybody can refer that and do the inspection. This is the important part of the gasket. So the winding, inner ring and outer ring, there are three parts. So QC inspector to ensure all these windings, inner ring and outer rings are lying within the tolerances of the relevant spec. So here we will see the leak testing of the spiral balloon gasket. It is one of the performance testings, and references here I have shown from the specification ASME B 16.20 clause SW spiral balloon gasket 2.6 performance testing. So leak testing measures the gasket's ability to prevent leakage under various pressure and temperature conditions. So I have mentioned the acceptance criteria as leakage rate is typically specified in milligram per second per unit length or milligram per second per mm. Reference standards are ASME B 16.20, EN 13555 or API 6A. So relevant standards needs to be referred during the verification of mill test certificate by the QC inspector. Now here comes the part performance testing of the spiral balloon gasket. Generally, these performance testings are carried out by manufacturer. However, they are not mentioned in the mill test certificate. But if the project specifications are mentioned this specific requirement, then QC inspector has to check this requirement in the mill test certificate. So here in performance testing, manufacturer carries out two tests, compression and recovery test. This test ensures the gasket can maintain a seal without over compressing or losing its resiliency. They are referring the standards like ASTM F36, EN 13555, and the acceptance criteria for compression and recovery test is typically compression should be within the range of 10 to 20% of gasket thickness depending on the material and application, and recovery should be minimum as per the ASME B 16.20 or the manufacturer's specification, and it is usually greater than 30%. So these two tests, or we can say performance test of the gasket, are very important as far as the spiral balloon gasket plays the major important role in sealing performance. So QC inspector to verify this requirement based on the specific project specification or PO specification relevancy. In this topic marking, I have mentioned one specific requirement which is extracted from the specification ASME 16.20 for your guidance. So in this requirement says that spiral balloon gasket should bear the manufacturer's name or logo, flange size, pressure class rating, winding and filler material abbreviation, and outer and inner ring abbreviation. So QC inspector has to ensure all these things for the acceptance of the marking of spiral balloon gasket. In our last topic, color coding of spiral balloon gasket inspection, I have mentioned here the images in which the gaskets are color coded with respect to their inner and outer ring and filler material. I have mentioned one chart also which is extracted from ASME 16.20 for the identification or color coding of this gasket. So these gaskets shall be marked with a color code that identifies the winding and filler material. A continuous color code around the outer edge of the centering ring shall identify the winding material. So in this you can see that yellow color code is continuously marked on this gasket. So accordingly we need to refer from the respective color code chart of ASME B 16.20 for the relevant requirement. The color code identifying the filler material for NPS 1.5 inch and larger shall have 4 intermittent stripes spaced approximately 90 degrees apart from the outer edge of the centering ring. So here you can see the gray color in this image or white color in the image. They are intermittently marked. That is one type of identification for the filler material. Smaller size gaskets shall have minimum of 2 stripes 180 degrees apart. This color shall conform to the ASME B 16.20 table SW-3-1. So QC inspector has to refer that chart. However, here specifically again I will mention that QC inspector should refer the relevant specification, color coding and marking chart. Here for the guidance purpose or general purpose, I have mentioned the ASME B 16.20 references. Hey guys, thank you. If you want to learn more about inspection, quality control and quality assurance, make sure to subscribe our YouTube channel Zekko Inspection Technology. We share informative videos on inspection, quality control and quality assurance across the various industries. Thank you.